Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be doing the Slytherin book tag because I love book tags and low-key I love Slytherins. The tag creator for this video is Leading Lady on YouTube, and I will link her YouTube channel down in the description below. There are 7 prompts to this tag that all have to do with Slytherin. Like some will have to do with like elemental stuff, some will have to do with like animals, some will have to do with like traits of being a Slytherin, and I just thought it would be really fun to do this tag today. Also, cue the Harry Potter shirt. I'm not going to stand up, but you can imagine what it says. Don't let the muggles get you down. There we go. Yeah, I thought it would be fun to do this video today since I am wearing this Harry Potter shirt. I feel like I could position the camera better to capture it, but I'm too lazy right now. Prompt number 1 is snake. For this one I need to do a reptile in the book, and for this I'm going with Sunrise on the Reaping. I feel like I should go with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes because snakes and reptiles are more prevalent in there, but I'm not as big a fan as that one. I'm a huge fan of Sunrise on the Reaping. Like, that is literal perfection, and there's a snake in the book because of a little Lulu. I love Lulu. I love so many of the characters in that book, but yeah, there's a little fun snake thing with Lulu in there. Oh, hi baby. Hermione's just chilling right here. Did you guys see her try and bite me? Sunrise on the Reaping was the first 5-star read I had this year, and it is such a worthy 5-star read because it is such a good book. There is so much to it. You get to learn so much about the history of the characters that you love from the main Hunger Games trilogy. Obviously, it is Haymitch's games, so it is such a good book. Highly recommend it if you haven't read it already. Question number 2, a water element. Set in or around water. Honestly, like, there's a lot of books where I feel like there is water elements, but I feel like the vast majority of books that I've read don't take place like the majority on water, and like the ones that are coming to mind I don't like right now. Ooh, you know one? I'm gonna do one that I read when I was in like middle school, so like I don't even remember it well because I was gonna do like Life of Pi or something, but I don't like Life of Pi. But there's one that I read in middle school that I liked. I just don't remember anything about it. I just remember that I liked it. So we're going with that one. This one is The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. It is by Avi. On Goodreads, this one reads, an ocean voyage of unimaginable consequences. Not every 13-year-old girl is accused of murder, brought to trial, and found guilty. But I was just such a girl, and my story is worth relating, even if it did happen years ago. Be warned, however, if strong ideas and action offend you, read no more. Find another companion to share your idle hours. For my part, I intend to tell the truth as I lived it. So she's on a boat for most of the book on a sail ship, so that's why I'm choosing it. I remember nothing about this book. I just remember that like I read a book by Avi and it was like Poppy. It was something about like a field mouse. And I remember being like so bored. It was for Battle of the Books. I remember being so bored and being like, oh, this is horrid. So then when my teacher tried to get me to read it when I was in like the 5th grade, I was like, no. And instead I read like some Twisters book because I'm like, I will do this for the book club. I refuse to be a part of the True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle book club. And my teacher seemed like really disappointed in me that I didn't choose this one. And then I was doing middle school Battle of the Books and I was like, oh shoot, this is on the list. I have to read the book. And I read it and I remember really enjoying it. And I remember I was like, dang, I should have given this book a chance, even though like I didn't like the first book that I read by this author. And I think this book is proof that like even if you don't like a book that an author wrote, like one of their books, another one of their books could be like the perfect fit for you, and that was the case with this one. And I also remember getting this book from the library and it was falling apart because it was so loved, and I think that just says a lot about how good of a book it is. Next up is number 3, leadership. Character with strong leadership skills. For this I'm going with Selena from the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I feel like Selena has really strong leadership skills. I feel like she is very clever and smart, and she's really able to command people and take control of people. And I think that leadership skill of hers is so impressive given her background and given everything that she's been through and how the world is like against her. Like, she defies the odds to be a strong queen and a strong leader, and I think that is beautiful. Question number 4, ambition. A book that lived up to its hype. Ooh, what is a book that lived up to its hype? I feel like there's a lot, but I also feel like there's a lot that haven't lived up to the hype. For this one, I'm gonna go with a book where the first book lived up to the hype, but the second book I absolutely hated. For this, I'm choosing Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. So Legendborn was a book that was really hyped. I actually got it as an ARC before, like, I heard all the hype and stuff, and then I didn't read it for a while, so yeah. In my defense, I won it as an ARC when I was in the hospital in 2020, so I couldn't have read it directly when I got it because I was so ill. However, I did end up reading it and it did live up to the hype for me. It's about this girl who's going to an early college, and at the early college, she discovers that there is a world that she has no clue about that's a fantasy world, and she can see the creatures in this world despite the fact that technically she shouldn't be able to see these creatures. This is a fantasy story set in modern times that has great representation and has a lot of King Arthur legends fused into the story. I have gotten really interested in King Arthur legends because of Legendborn. Have the other ones that I read of King Arthur stuff been very good? No, but I'm hopeful I can find another one that I really love like Legendborn. The second book just didn't work for me, which is like why I'm craving a book with good King Arthur stuff in it that isn't the rest of the Legendborn series, because I wish the first one was just a standalone, because I really liked the first one and then like it went such downhill that it was really disappointing. Question number 5 is resourcefulness, creative / unique to accomplish a task or get out of a situation. Ooh, creative or unique. For this, I'm going to go with Kakegurui, which is a manga, and specifically I'm going to go with volume 2. So Kakegurui is called Compulsive Gamblers. So it's about a high school where its social situation and the future of the students are determined by gambling. And in volume 2, there is a really impressive gamble where characters who are currently in debt have an opportunity to get out of debt. And it starts off seeming like really bad, like it's gonna end poorly because like there's this jerk in the situation. He's a part of the 4 who are gambling together, who sort of has someone that he's pulled along that he pretty much can guarantee that he's gonna get a win and he's gonna turn out great if he can keep getting her to follow along. And the characters get really creative in trying to defeat this guy and in trying to get the girl that is following everything that he does so that he can win, and trying to like help her out. I find it to be a really creative situation, and I find the resolution to the situation to be really creative, so that's why I'm going with Kakegurui. It's a good series, just heads up that there is a huge problem with sexualization of minors in that series, which is a bit unfortunate given that it would be a amazing series if that wasn't in there. Dare I say it would be a perfect series if the sexualization stuff wasn't in there. Question number 6, a book with the house colors green and silver. I feel like I need to go look at my shelf for this, so I'm going to choose one that I haven't read yet, because that is what that shelf is right there. It's easier to access than the books that I have read. Let me go find a green and silver book. I found one that sort of qualifies. I wouldn't say it's like too silvery, but I'm doing it because I couldn't find any other ones. So for this one, I'm going with The Glass Arrow by Kristen Simmons. I haven't had a chance to read this one yet, but it's like super high on my TBR. The cover is a gray and it does have a blue tint to it, but I'd say that it's green and the text looks silverish. And also, technically this arrow looks green, but the arrows are generally like silver. So I'm going to read the synopsis in here and tell you what this one's about. It is one that I have been dying to read because I love Kristen Simmons, and this one is one of the ones that I haven't read by her yet that sounds the most interesting. So the little synopsis here says, once there was a time when men and women lived as equals, when girl babies were valued and women could belong only to themselves. But that was 10 generations ago. Now women are property, to be sold and owned and bred, while a strict census keeps their numbers manageable and under control. The best any girl can hope for is to end up as some man's forever wife, but most are simply sold and resold until they are all used up. Only in the wilderness, away from the city, can true freedom be found. Aya has spent her whole life in the mountains looking out for her family and hiding from the world until the day the trackers finally catch her. Stolen from her home and being groomed for auction, Aya is desperate to escape her fate and return to her family, but her only allies are a loyal wolf she's raised from a pup and a strange mute boy who may be her best hope for freedom, if she can truly trust him. So I've heard mostly good things about this book. I've heard some people say that this book is like The Handmaid's Tale, but like better, because I don't know what some people's problems with The Handmaid's Tale is, but I've heard that this one is better, which has me very intrigued because I want to read The Handmaid's Tale. So I'm hoping to read this one this year. I don't know if I'll get to it this year because it's been on my shelf since I was like in high school, but hopefully I get to it soon. And I would say that even if you consider this like gray, I would say the cover is very much giving Slytherin vibes. So that's what I'm choosing for this. And question number 7, the bad guy. Name a book where you feel for the bad guy. So I love when I can feel for a bad guy in a book because it shows how well an author can write if you feel for the bad guy. Like, we do need books where bad guys are just objectively bad, because like there are bad people in the world who will always be bad, and I think we do need that. We don't always need a redemption arc for characters, but I feel like if you can make me feel for a bad guy, you are a really great author. So I think the one that I'm going to choose for this is Dominic Han from Rebel, which is the 4th book in the Legend series. So, surprisingly, Rebel is my favorite book in the Legend series. I know that it's not everyone's favorite, but it's my personal favorite. Also, so sorry about my dog barking. The reason why is because you see sort of like a different side of the dystopian world when you're reading Rebel, and you see this like unfair level system that is very unjust and makes it really hard for the lower levels to really survive and make it through. And Dominic very much is trying to defeat that level system. He has his heart in the right place. He has the right intentions. He has the wrong methodology. And I feel like those are my favorite type of villains. The characters that like you understand their motivation, they just are doing it in the wrong way. And I feel like occasionally we see that happening with protests and movements in the world as a whole, and so I find it really interesting when I see stuff like that in books. And sometimes it's also hard because sometimes you need to have violence in order to make a movement happen, which I hate to say that, but historically if you look at things that happen, like in order to get rid of slavery, we had a civil war, like things like that. I also really liked Dominic because I found him so scary, but I also found him so understandable for his reasoning for what he was doing. So Rebel is the one that I'm choosing for this. It's a dystopian series. Rebel is the 4th book, and it has a very different vibe from the first 3 books, but it's a vibe that works really well for me. It takes place in Antarctica, which I find is very interesting because I feel like I don't see enough dystopian books that explore the idea of Antarctica being its own country and having its own unique system in there. So those were all 7 prompts for the Slytherin book tag. I hope all of you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. I will link a playlist down in the description below with all of the other book tags that I've done because I love doing book tags. They're one of my favorite videos to film, so I do them a lot. They're like my comfort videos to film. They're also my comfort videos to watch. I love watching people doing book tags. I try and upload a video at least once a week, so feel free to stick around to see my next video when it comes out, and I hope all of you are having a great week. Until next time, goodbye!